Welcome to Rough Cuts, a creator podcast by creators for creators. I'm your host, Josh, and we have my co-host, Jermaine, and our operator for the day, Dylan. And how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good.
I'm doing great.
Doing great. That's great. Right before we started filming, Jermaine here did Slate, and I never thought of it, but I feel like Slate, which is the thing you clap before you start filming, is kind of very much an art. It's not just, point it and just slap it. You kind of have to do it a very specific way, or else it kind of looks awkward. I never thought about that until pretty recently. Because I feel like anytime I give someone a slate and say, hey, yeah, just clap it in front of the screen, they either say something different or they, do it weirdly. And I just never thought of that, because most people think, oh, slate, you're just standing in front of it going, I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
You must study the slate like an art. I have studied the slate.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's funny because, you think all it is literally just clapping something, but it's literally, a whole thing about, oh, yeah, you have to say the role. You have to, have a very specific kind of way you do it, because if you do it weirdly, it can actually sound differently depending on the camera and the audio. And then even, you can actually use the slate to white balance and all this other stuff that people just don't really know about, because they just think it's just sync. Because, it's science. But anyways, it's just science. It's a slate science. And I'm one to advocate that slate is one of the most important parts of filmmaking. Do you agree?
No.
Why?
I don't.
Tell me why.
There's other more important stuff to do just to
I'm not saying
clapper.
it's the most important. I'm saying it's one of the most important.
Well, yeah, it's to start the show or whatever you're producing.
But it just feel like
it's the beginning. It's the first step.
Okay, but think of it this way. It's kind of similar to just jumping into something like you going on a roller coaster. You can just jump on a roller coaster and then you might get nauseous or you might throw up or blah, blah, blah. But it's if you prepare yourself for that roller coaster, if you get nauseous, take anti-nausea medicine, or I want to eat before I go on the roller coaster, and you wait a certain amount of time, you're prepared for it. So then it's easier to do the thing you want to do. It's a weird analogy, I know, but essentially what I'm trying to say is if you do slate correctly, it can make the entire project a lot. Don't look at me like that. I swear, it's important. It's just not just. You're not just clapping. You can just clap, but if you do it, it's an art. It's an art form.
Hey,
I'm convinced.
As someone who's slated a lot, I feel valued.
You should, because it is an important thing, because it's very easily looked down upon, because people think it literally is just, And I am an advocate for second AC, which is the people who usually do that, or first. It's just, people just do it. It's important. That's all I'm saying. That's not even the topic we're talking about. That's just a tangent that I went on because slate.
Yep.
And I will stand by that. I will stand on this hill until the day I die. Slate is important.
Do some plugins.
Do some plugins?
Mm-hmm.
Of what?
Our social media.
Well, do that at the end. Or do it now.
Yeah, do it
we'll
now.
Do it at the beginning and the end.
Mm-hmm.
So, slate is very important. And you know what else is important? Social media, which we do have. We're on Instagram and we're on TikTok. And we are now officially on Spotify and SoundCloud. I did it.
Dropping our mixtapes soon.
Yeah.
Nope. I mean, you can call this a mixtape if you want, but nope. Not in the slightest.
Yeah, man, you want to work out, going to work out, going to jog, driving to work, driving from work. Just listen to the podcast.
Yeah, listen to us talk and tell me if you agree with me about Slate. I'm going
or
to
if you don't agree.
No, you have to agree, because if you don't agree, you're essentially saying that person, that job, unimportant. Are you saying that? Huh?
I'm saying that specific action can be important.
So you're saying it's not important? Just overall?
It's a mixed bag.
You're a mixed bag. How is it a mixed bag? You want to argue with me. There's no reason to.
Listen, man.
Okay, this is not even the topic.
It's
We'll talk
alright.
about this later. Okay, but anyways, we were coming up with topics. We weren't fully prepared for this, I won't lie. We were talking about topics early yesterday, and we didn't decide. But then I remembered that we had a list of questions that we came up with like a year ago. And I decided to look at those questions. And I got, what is that? Four or five really good questions that we didn't answer that I think is going to go for a great conversation. So let's just jump right in. The first one is for you two. What makes a film great for you? Are there certain qualities that make a film better for you?
Casting.
Casting.
Yeah, casting is, in my opinion, is what makes a film good or bad, because you could have all of the production set up like perfectly, but at the end of the day, it comes to whether the actors can perform well or not.
Okay, I agree. I agree. That's pretty valid because the actors are the ones that you are actively seeing
Yeah,
the most.
make sure there's clear communication between all of you, so you guys know what you're looking for.
Okay, that's
Right.
pretty valid.
I'm to jump off that. For me, it's script,
Script.
dialogue, and everything.
Like-
and having a manual script, like something that can fold with the actor, like
Mhm.
to make it sound like it's something that they say as their character.
Okay, so
Like
you're
a
thinking
nat-
is
Yeah,
this like for like films that you have been in or films that you watch?
films I watch. Like
Okay.
I always pay attention to the dialogue, how it's written, like
Okay.
what you can glean from what they say.
Mhm.
I mean, the acting is obviously the front layer, but
Mhm.
at the end, it's what they say is what is
Okay.
made. You
So
know?
so you for you it's dialogue, for you it's casting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so honestly for me, I want to say the biggest thing for me for like a film is like it's kind of a tie between the plot and like the character dynamics, which kind of is the dialogue and the characters, which is essentially for me because of if I'm looking at a story that has like well actually just before I even say all that, do you guys know that plot and story are two separate things?
Yeah.
Okay, so story is kind of what happens, whereas the plot is the why things are happening.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, so if like a story or a film has a interesting plot and everything else is going well or not well depending on like whatever the story is, that keeps me in. Whereas like if the plot is very much just basic and you can completely guess what it is entirely, I'm uninterested. I already know what's gonna happen. It's a very typical kind of like ABC situation. You know what I
Right.
mean? And that kind of like bores me because I like films. I feel like should kind of get your mind going.
Yeah.
Like I want to be involved
Yeah.
in the film that I'm watching. I don't want it to just be like, just something that I'm throwing on and because sometimes it's nice to throw on a film and to kind of like let yourself be numb to it. But sometimes I like to actually think about a film and like,
Mhm.
get into the world,
Yeah.
which is why I like the character dynamics as well. Because the character dynamics, like if two characters really feel like they know each other, like they have a past or like a relationship or something, that really like keeps me in because I'm like, oh, I want to know more about these people. I want to know more about this relationship and like why they act like this or like see where they develop throughout the film. Whereas if like I can tell you there are so many films I can't think of any right now, but like I can think of so many films where the characters just do not have any on-screen chemistry, and just watching it is so painfully awkward. Like the first one that comes to mind is the space movie with Chris Pratt and
Passengers, I think it's called.
yeah, Passengers. It had what was her name?
Was it Emily Blunt?
No, it wasn't Emily Blunt. It was
Oh, it's the chick like from Hunger Games, right?
yeah, I'm trying to remember what her name is. I feel bad though, cause like
Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
yeah, Jennifer Lawrence. Was it Jennifer Lawrence?
I was about to say Lauren Lawrence.
Well,
but yeah, it's
I'm gonna
Jennifer
look it up. But yeah,
Lawrence.
Jennifer
It's-
Lawrence and Chris Pratt. I want to make sure because I
Yes.
don't want to say some. Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt. By the way, I say crisp rat because of a joke I saw online. So every time I say it on purpose. Crisp rat because that's what he sounds like. But that movie, such a really interesting concept. But them together felt so awkward. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Nah.
I saw a bit of it. Yeah.
they do not go well together in that
Yeah.
movie. Like it's so creepy. Like the entire time, it's supposed to be kind of a love story,
Mm-hmm.
but how he comes off and interacts with her, it could be a horror film because how awkward they interact. Because a little spoiler, I guess, if you haven't seen it or if you do care to see it, but essentially the whole thing is that like everyone, not everyone, but some people bought tickets to go on a space station to go to a different planet, right?
Uh-huh.
And it was going to take several like decades to travel. So
Yeah.
they put everyone asleep in different economic levels. The main character, Chris Pratt, his economic level was like worker.
Uh-huh.
He was like a engineer, kind of like, hands guy. Jennifer Lawrence's character was a bit higher, and his pod malfunctioned, and he wakes up way too early. So he's alone in this spaceship, and he's just kind of like, well, oh well. So then he just kind of like, fucks around, but he can't afford, like, since he's lower class, he can't get the luxury items and, like,
Yeah.
have a luxury space and all. But he's just chilling for a while. But then, like, he finds her pod, and he just starts getting so tempted to, like, open it up. And, like, I'm alone. I don't want to be alone. But if I wake her up, by the time we get there, we're probably both going to be dead. That'd be kind of fucked up. So guess what he does?
He opens it.
He opens it up and wakes her up and lies to her and says that her pod malfunctioned.
Yep.
So,
He's down bad for the.
Yeah, he's down bad.
like, at first, she's like, oh, shit, that sucks. So then them two are together, and then, like, they kind of, like, build up a relationship, and they get all cutesy, and then, like, the truth comes out, and, like, he's so fucking creepy about it because he doesn't really react. He's just, like, kind of sad, I get, but it does not come off sad. It comes off almost like, I did what I had to do, and it's like, they had no chemistry. The movie was weird. It had such a good like concept, but it did not go good together. I don't know if you saw, there was like this whole like little thing where like they were doing the interviews before the movie came out, and like I think they were talking about how like they were roasting each other, and there was a part where like Jennifer Lawrence said like, oh, before our sex scene, I had to take Pepto-Bismol because yeah, and then he says something really fucked up. He says, oh, when we were in our sex scene, I felt your dick rub against me. So yeah, but they just have no chemistry, and that kind of like took me out of the movie. It felt creepy to me.
Yeah, that kind of. You describing it kind of makes it a creepy.
But it's
vibe.
supposed to be a romance film, which is the thing, a space romance.
Oh.
It's more like a.
I just thought it was a sci-fi thing.
It's a space stalker.
It was
thing.
a space romance, but it did not come off like that. It came off like Space Stalker. But
Come on, guys, make better movies. What are you doing?
don't be creepy with women.
We got too many incels in the industry.
Right,
Yeah.
and for real.
That's another thing that kind of like, this is the opposite. This is what makes the movie like great for me. Is like character dynamics and stuff. What makes a movie terrible for me is blatant misogyny.
Yeah.
Because it just really fucking takes me out of it. Because I'm just like, all right, I do not agree with this stuff that's being said, and I'm just very like uncomfortable by this. Like Wolf of Wall Street. I don't know if you guys seen it.
Uh huh.
It's so misogynistic, and like it's so uncomfortable to watch, which
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure is the purpose of the movie.
Yeah.
Yes, that was totally intentional.
But it's just
Not only
so,
do they see stocks as property, they see women as property.
but it was so uncomfortable to watch. Like any scene where a woman is on screen because they are blatantly like sex objects in every single
Yeah.
scene, and I'm like,
Yeah. There's way worse. There's movies that are designed to make you uncomfortable. Like, I don't know the director, but there's a movie like Climax, where it's just a
Climax?
bunch of dancers who take drugs by accident, and then they go for a trip, and it's like 2 hours, and it's like, oh, whoa, whoa. And it's, sex and dancing, and it's just meant to make you...
See, I like movies that make you uncomfortable and like try to make it realism.
Yeah.
Like The Disaster Artist, I like because it makes you feel uncomfortable because of how the movie portrays filmmaking,
Yeah.
Right.
which is incredibly uncomfortable. It is not something where it's like, oh, big Hollywood style, like everything's gonna go great. Nah, you're gonna have a creepy director.
Yep.
You're gonna have a bunch of arguing. You're gonna go overwork.
Your manager's
You're
gonna
gonna
try to scam you constantly.
You're gonna be hot. You're gonna have really awkward scenes where you're seeing someone's ass. Probably. You're gonna see something you didn't sign up to do.
Yeah.
and that's filmmaking really, and it's just yeah, like I love the movie because of like how it shows filmmaking, and I just think it's like it's so interesting because the characters themselves, which are based off of real people, how they portrayed
Yeah.
the characters. Um, but here's a question. Here's the next question. We're gonna move on if that's okay with you guys.
That's fine.
What films have been the most inspiring or influential to you, and why?
You go first, Dylan.
Oh God. All right, let me think. Well, let me change it up. I'll do like one flew over the cuckoo's nest. I think that's another. I mean, that's my actual favorite movie,
Mhm.
and I think it's just because of the situation that it's in, like with the story and everything. Like it's just such a not normal concept,
Mhm.
but it feels normal. You
So,
know?
like,
it's down to earth.
I think it's meta surrealism, almost.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, I like surrealism.
Yeah,
It's
I
always
like when it's
interesting.
like that. Like it's not like it's supernatural or anything, but it's about a guy pretending he's crazy to
Yeah.
go into an asylum.
Oh, okay, I see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember that movie. What I was talking about surrealism, I was thinking along the lines of like Atlanta,
Yes.
because Atlanta is that kind of like surrealism of like everyday situations, but are very off, but no one's acting like they're off.
Yeah.
So it's just like the entire like prison scene in like the first season where they're like that entire episode where everyone's just talking about random things just like completely normally and it's
Yeah.
just like haha, and then you take a second when you're watching, you're like, oh, that's funny, and you're like, hold on a second, like because it talks about so much stuff, just like real world problems in a comedic light,
Mm-hmm.
but it makes it like very like comedic because like you're gonna laugh about it, but then you're gonna start thinking about it, and
Yeah.
that's how it's effective.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have like the blatant transphobia in there, and like the prison system and how like it deals with mental health and stuff like that,
Right.
and like they don't like go into like depth of it, like, oh yeah, he has blank 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 and he's been in here and been out, blah blah, he's crazy, look at him dancing again, haha, it's funny. But then as soon as he like fucking like does something, they're just beating him, like, just don't say anything about it. Like everyone's just like, oh, all right, time to just look back down at my feet and just act like twiddle our thumbs, nothing's happening. And it's just because that kind of stuff really happens in the real
Yeah.
world.
I think mine would be Green Mile and Forrest Gump.
Forrest
be-
Gump,
yeah.
interesting.
Forrest Gump specifically because it's about a character who
Mhm.
has problems in his
Yeah.
own way, and no matter what, he overcomes them. So it's a constant drive to be better,
Mhm.
even where you come from when it's either dysfunction
Mm.
or disorder.
Yeah.
So, and Green Mile because it kind of gives me more of a humanitarian feel to it because
True.
the main character, the big black guy,
Yeah.
I can never remember his name. But
I know.
rest in peace, he's
I'm looking him
gone.
up.
He was one of my favorite actors growing up, and that movie alone.
Michael Clark Duncan.
Yep.
Yes.
Right when I looked it up.
He that movie displays a lot of caring for people even in situations
Mhm.
where they are viewed as the bad guy, but in reality,
Yeah.
everyone will say this person's the bad guy, but you can actually get to know them, they're not.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
I take a lot of influence from those two movies.
Because
Those movies are great.
You can never. It's kind of interesting actually. You both have like films that kind of have a similar like vibe to them. Because like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest takes place in a mental hospital. The Green Mile takes place in a prison. And
Right.
then like in both situations, the people who are in there don't exactly need to be in there, but
Mhm.
everyone else sees them as something else.
Yeah.
So, well, I wonder what that says about you two. Like, what does that affect you guys?
I think we definitely like outsider media. Like,
Yeah.
Outsider
we-
media.
Like those, about people who definitely don't feel like they fit in,
Mm-hmm.
or there's just an aspect about them that like isn't
Isn't
understandable.
normal to others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you. I get you.
It just it makes you embrace your truest self, like just being you.
Yeah.
You know.
Definitely.
I think one of the most popular films that kind of like in recent years that came out that really like kind of I think a lot of people kind of like decided, or not even decided, but like more like came into themselves about like being outsiders is the Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that film showed like a whole like high school situation and how like you can make friends and like that entire group was like different and it was interesting. It took me a while to watch the movie if I'm being honest because I just kept putting it off for some reason. I don't really know why, but then when I actually finally like, watched it, I did enjoy it, but the one critique I have is I felt very strange about the whole like twist with his aunt molesting him.
Yeah.
It's just cause like I feel like a very like common thing in coming of age films with high schoolers is them being molested.
Yeah, or something sexual in a way.
Yeah, it's very uncomfortable because I feel like the people that those films are made for are usually young adults. They're high schoolers, and some of them have actually been through those like situations. And I think it might be like triggering and uncomfortable to see those situations in like a theater situation or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I understand you need to be you need to talk about it.
Yeah.
It needs to be shown and people need to know that these things truly do happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel as though there may be other ways than just always showing a molestation.
Yeah.
Like any type of sexual experience. Like
Yeah.
yes, most kids go through sexual experience. Almost all kids go through that. There's gotta be another way to show it in more of a less triggering way.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that movie was, that was like 2007. It was
think
probably doing like, trying to be
Double
more
check.
progressive with it. Like, because it was a different time.
That was 2012, actually.
2012?
Yeah.
Huh.
Movie's
Well,
10 years old.
I mean, shit was different 10 years ago
That's true.
in the movies. But yeah.
But see, the whole thing about that is like, I love coming of age films, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I watch them a lot. But in almost every one of them, something sexual happens, like a sexual molestation or something almost happens. And it's so, like, because it happens in Perks of Being a Wallflower. It happens in 8th grade. It happens in, Flower. Have you guys seen that movie?
No.
I think it's not like molestation, but they do the same shit in Booksmart too.
Yeah, Booksmart too. Like, it happens in every coming of age film. And it's like, why are they sexualizing teenagers constantly? And Flower is a whole movie that like I have problems with it. I won't lie to you. I have a lot of problems with it. It makes me uncomfortable. Should I get into it now is the question?
Yeah, well.
I think that's a whole nother topic.
That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
Like,
because we can get really deep into stuff like that.
yeah. But Flower, I have beef with Flower because it's we'll get into it a different time. Anyways,
Do you want to do another question or?
you know what? Let's let Jermaine come up with a random question. Just any question. Tick tock.
What movie is the movie that kind of pushed you away from a certain genre?
Oh,
that's good.
that is a good one actually. Jermaine, do you have one? Or Dylan, sorry.
Yeah, Jermaine, do you have one?
Yeah, Jermaine, do you have one?
Give us an example.
Kind of.
You asked the question.
It's. Fuck, I'm trying to think of it.
Okay, Dylan, do you have one?
I need to think of it.
Oh no.
Oh my god. Okay, let's take 5 seconds. So 5 seconds of silence to think of a movie.
Cabin in the Woods.
Wait, really?
Yeah. So, it's an okay movie.
Mm-hmm.
It has interesting monsters and stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the whole movie, the plot, the story made no sense. It was kind of just to me, it feels like it was all thrown around and it kind of pushed me away from that thriller kind of nonsense.
Yeah, I get that because I think the purpose of the movie was making fun of every horror.
It was cliche after cliche after cliche.
Yeah, that was
but
the point.
it wasn't.
But it wasn't interesting.
Yeah,
to you?
it wasn't interesting to me.
Okay, because really, Cabin in the Woods is one of those movies that I hear people always talking and boasting about. We're so amazed. Okay, it subverts the genre and talks about everything.
And Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane.
I hated Citizen Kane.
Why?
Dude. It's boring. It is absolutely boring. The story is just a guy
Jermaine,
moping
you
around
are-
talking about bullshit. Like, I really don't care
You
about
are
that.
saying
I
controversial.
got
I
things.
really don't care.
If we're
about
counting
that.
like just indie drama as a genre, like
Yeah, indie drama in general, I don't.
there's this one that A24 does.
Uh-huh.
And okay, A24 usually has at least something decent. It was called The Ghost Story. Had like Casey Affleck
I
in
heard
it.
of that. Yeah.
Everyone talks about this one scene because the guy dies and then she's like, distraught and like life is just over for her.
Mm-hmm.
So she's just sitting on her kitchen floor eating like yogurt or something.
I know what you're talking
And it's
about.
like a powerful scene at first,
Uh-huh.
but goes on for like 24 minutes.
I heard about this. People
Yeah.
really hate that scene.
No, some people are like, this is the most
Yeah.
beautiful scene,
Because
most realistic.
it's really raw and stuff, and some people
Yeah.
are just like, I'm watching a movie. I could just go do that myself. I don't
Right.
need
yeah.
to see this.
No, I was just bored. It was just so funny, like how far it went. Because like
Wow.
you start looking to the background, and then like in the other room you see the ghost. I'm like, oh shit, it's the ghost.
Well, then but then you just kind of like contradicted yourself because you just said, hey, like this was boring, but then you noticed something in the background.
Yeah, but it's like.
But it's a slow burn kind of thing.
Yeah, but the ghost is there, and it's just like standing there doing nothing.
But it's a slow
Slow
burn.
burns movies are kind of hard to watch.
Here's the
get
thing.
that. It can be
We
hard to-
started watching the scene, then we turned it off, and then I tried it the next night.
Mhm.
We did go through the scene, and then after watching the rest of the movie, like, I couldn't. Like,
That's so
I just wasn't worth it.
It's
like,
so funny. You guys have like controversy. Like those movies that you named are usually like movies that people love.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Oh
No.
my god.
If you're a
Not
film
into
major
ghosts.
and you love that movie, come on. Like
Citizen
Citizen Kane, you love Citizen Kane.
There's
You
No,
are
you are
just
brainwashed.
yeah,
like
you are
Citizen
brainwashed. You are just a carbon copy of every single filmmaker ever created.
Oh my god.
My favorite movie is Metropolis.
Yeah,
I
no,
do like
okay.
Metropolis, though. That's a good one.
I only like the visuals of Metropolis.
Yeah, and it's not even finished. So.
Oh my we gotta stop this episode before you guys like start a riot.
Yeah, we want hate. Talk to us in the
Right.
comments. Let us know whether we're right or wrong. Because I'm telling you, whether you think Citizen Kane is a good movie, you are wrong. That movie is not good.
He's gonna go for the camera. and beat
Just
you on
because
this.
it's historically accurate and it's about a man bitching about his life, it's not good.
All right, Jermaine. Let's.
Bro,
So-
he's going deep.
Thank you for tuning in. If you like this video, leave a like, leave a comment, and give your hate towards Jermaine and Dylan and their controversial opinions.
I'll fight with you in the comments.
Yeah, you'll probably will. You can find us on SoundCloud officially and Spotify. You can watch this on YouTube. You can see our other videos on YouTube. And you can see our other content on social media like Instagram and TikTok.
Yep.
You guys have anything else to say?